You've been doing everything right, or so it seems. You've cut calories, skipped the sugar, maybe even started fasting. Yet somehow, that stubborn fat refuses to leave. The scale mocks you, your energy dips, and you start wondering, what am I missing? Here's the truth most people never hear. It's not your willpower, not your metabolism, and not your genetics holding you back. It's one small, everyday food mistake. The kind that slips into your diet so quietly, you'd swear it's healthy. But that one choice keeps insulin high all day long, and when insulin stays high, fat burning shuts off. This isn't about eating less, it's about eating smarter. Insulin decides whether your body stores fat or burns it. And every time you unknowingly trigger it, you stop the process you've been working so hard for. Most people never fix this because the very foods they trust, the healthy snacks, the protein bars, the low-fat meals, are secretly packed with the kind of carbs and additives that send insulin soaring. So even when you're fasting, you're not really fasting. Your body's stuck in storage mode, protecting fat instead of releasing it. The good news, once you uncover this mistake and replace it with one simple fix, your metabolism starts working with you, not against you. The cravings ease, the energy steadies, and for the first time, you'll see real, lasting fat loss, not because you starved your body, but because you finally understood how to feed it right. Most people believe weight loss is about self-control, counting calories, resisting cravings, and pushing through hunger. But your body doesn't care how disciplined you are if insulin is in charge. Insulin isn't the villain, but it is the switch that determines whether your body stores energy as fat or burns it for fuel. Think of insulin as a traffic cop standing in the middle of your bloodstream, directing where your energy goes. When insulin is up, that traffic stops, fat burning halts, and every calorie you eat gets redirected into storage. When insulin is down, the road opens again, and your body can finally pull energy out of fat cells. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin to help move glucose, the sugar from your food, into your cells. That's a normal, healthy process. But the problem begins when insulin never gets a break. You might think you're doing great by eating healthy foods every few hours. Oatmeal for breakfast, a protein bar mid-morning, a salad with low-fat dressing for lunch, maybe a handful of almonds in the afternoon. Sounds responsible, right? But each of those moments tells your pancreas to release more insulin. Even tiny spikes throughout the day keep your insulin elevated, quietly blocking fat burning all day long. The modern diet has trained our bodies to live in a constant state of insulin traffic jam. It's not about overeating, it's about over-signaling. Every snack, every small bite sends a message: store energy, don't release it. And here's the catch. Even if you're eating fewer calories, your body won't burn stored fat if insulin stays high. You'll feel tired, cranky, and hungry because the energy you need is trapped inside fat cells that insulin won't let you access. That's why willpower doesn't work long term. You can fight cravings for a few days or weeks, but if insulin is high, your brain still senses an energy shortage. It tells you to eat. Not because you're weak, but because your cells are literally starving while your fat stores sit locked away. This is why diets fail over and over again. The body doesn't respond to discipline. It responds to hormones. And insulin is the key hormone that tells your metabolism what to do. Even clean eaters can fall into this trap without realizing it. Maybe you've swapped sugar for honey, or you eat brown rice instead of white, or choose fruit smoothies thinking they're better than soda. The problem isn't the intention, it's the effect. Those carbs, even the natural ones, still raise insulin. Add that to frequent meals, and your body never gets the signal to switch from storage mode to fat burning mode. Timing plays a huge role too. Eating late at night, snacking between meals, or starting the day with carbs all keep insulin elevated. It's like keeping that traffic cop in the street 24/7, constantly waving energy into storage and never letting it flow out. Over time, this constant demand wears down your insulin sensitivity. Your cells stop listening, forcing your body to produce even more insulin to do the same job. That's how insulin resistance begins. The stage where fat loss feels impossible, no matter how clean you eat or how little you consume. Once you understand this, everything changes. Weight loss stops being about suffering through hunger and becomes about restoring balance. The goal isn't zero insulin, it's controlled insulin. You want those levels to rise and fall naturally, giving your body time to use stored fat for energy between meals. When you finally lower insulin by eating fewer times a day, choosing foods that don't spike blood sugar, and letting your body rest between meals, the fat burning road opens up. Energy starts flowing again. You stop fighting biology and start working with it. Hunger fades, cravings settle, and weight loss becomes effortless because your metabolism is back in alignment. That's the secret most diets miss. It's not about eating less. It's about keeping insulin low enough, long enough for your body to finally unlock the fat you've been trying to burn all along. The biggest mistake people make when trying to lose weight isn't overeating. It's never giving insulin a break. Most people live in a constant state of feeding from the moment they wake up until they go to bed. That means insulin never gets the signal to drop, and when insulin stays high, fat burning stays off. It's not just about sugar or junk food. It's the constant healthy snacking, the carb-heavy breakfasts, and the belief that eating small meals all day speeds up metabolism. In reality, it keeps your metabolism stuck. Picture this. You start your morning with a bowl of oatmeal topped with fruit, maybe a drizzle of honey for flavor. You sip your coffee with a splash of milk or creamer, feeling like you're making smart choices. Within minutes, your blood sugar rises and insulin follows. A few hours later, hunger hits again, not because you need fuel, but because that insulin spike has already dropped your blood sugar back down. So you grab a healthy protein bar or a handful of nuts. Another small bump in insulin. Lunchtime rolls around and you choose a turkey sandwich on whole grain bread, maybe with some fruit on the side. Once again, your body gets another signal to raise insulin. By the afternoon, you start to fade. Energy dips, focus drops, so you reach for a coffee, maybe with a little sweetener or a snack to tide you over until dinner. More insulin. Dinner comes and you try to be good, grilled chicken, brown rice, and vegetables. But that rice still triggers insulin. Later, you reward yourself with a few bites of dark chocolate or some yogurt because it's healthy. Before you know it, you've spent the entire day in insulin storage mode without realizing it. You never gave your body a chance to tap into fat for fuel. This pattern, constant feeding, even on healthy foods, keeps insulin levels chronically elevated. And when insulin is elevated, your fat cells are sealed shut. They can't release energy. Instead, your body depends on quick glucose from your food, which keeps you stuck in a cycle of hunger and fatigue. You crave snacks because your body can't access its stored energy. You think you're eating clean, but your metabolism never shifts gears. Even worse, most health foods are loaded with hidden sugars and starches that spike insulin more than people realize. Low-fat yogurt, smoothies, granola bars, and even whole grain cereals are marketed as healthy, but digest just like sugar. They might not taste sweet, but your body reacts to them the same way it would to dessert. Every bite of those foods means another hit of insulin, another signal to store instead of burn. And it's not only what you eat, it's how often. The body is designed for periods of eating and fasting, not constant grazing. Each time you eat, insulin rises to handle the incoming energy. It's supposed to drop back down between meals so fat burning can begin. But if you eat every 3 hours, even small portions, insulin never fully drops. It's like keeping the light switch stuck halfway between on and off. Your fat stores never open. That's why so many people feel trapped in the same pattern. They eat well, exercise, maybe even skip dessert, yet the weight doesn't budge. The problem isn't their effort, it's their timing. The constant stream of snacks and balanced carb-heavy meals never lets insulin rest. The irony is that what people have been told for decades, to eat small meals frequently to keep metabolism active, actually shuts metabolism down. Your body never gets the signal to switch from using food energy to using stored fat. So, instead of burning fat, you're constantly managing insulin spikes. When you start spacing your meals, removing those hidden carb triggers, and letting insulin finally fall, the shift begins. The hunger between meals fades because your body starts to use its own fat for fuel. You stop chasing energy from food and begin feeling steady, alert, and light, not because you're starving, but because your metabolism has finally switched back on. The freedom comes not from eating less, but from letting your body do what it was designed to do, store when needed, and burn when given the chance. Every time you eat, even something small, your body releases insulin to manage the incoming energy. Insulin's main job is to take glucose from your bloodstream and guide it into your cells where it can be used for energy. That's normal and healthy when it happens occasionally. The problem starts when insulin is triggered too often. Constant eating, frequent snacks, and high-carb meals keep insulin levels elevated all day long, turning what should be a simple process into a hormonal traffic jam. When insulin is always present, your fat cells get the signal to store energy, not release it. The doors of those fat cells close tight, trapping energy inside. So even if you've got plenty of fat to burn, your body can't access it. Instead, your cells start to rely only on quick sugar energy from your last meal. Once that sugar is gone, your blood sugar dips, leaving you tired, irritable, and craving more carbs. You think you're hungry? But really, your body is just cut off from its own fuel supply. This is the cycle that keeps people stuck: eat, spike insulin, store energy, crash, crave, repeat. It's not about willpower, it's about chemistry. As those insulin spikes happen repeatedly over months and years, your cells begin to lose sensitivity. They stop responding to insulin's signal effectively. It's like being exposed to loud noise for too long. Eventually, you stop noticing the sound. That's insulin resistance. The pancreas has to pump out even more insulin to get the same job done, keeping your levels high all the time. Now you're living in a state of constant high insulin, and your body is trapped in storage mode 24/7. Your fat cells won't release energy because they've been told not to. Your muscles, meanwhile, can't take in the fuel they need efficiently. The result is fatigue, brain fog, and stubborn belly fat that refuses to budge no matter how clean your diet is. You can be in a calorie deficit and still gain fat because your hormones are working against you. Insulin resistance also affects how other hormones function. Leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full, stops working properly when insulin is high. So you eat, but your brain never gets the "I'm satisfied" signal. At the same time, ghrelin, your hunger hormone, stays active, pushing you to keep eating even when you've had enough. You're not weak, your hormones are just out of balance. Over time, this chronic high insulin state creates inflammation throughout the body. It affects the liver, the brain, and the gut. You start to see symptoms like fatigue after meals, midsection weight gain, skin tags, high triglycerides, or even difficulty concentrating. These are all signs that your body is no longer processing insulin efficiently. What began as a few too many snacks or carb-heavy meals has now turned into a hormonal traffic jam where nothing moves smoothly. What makes this even more frustrating is how invisible it feels. You can't feel your insulin rising, so you assume your efforts aren't working because you're not trying hard enough. But the truth is, the harder you push, eating less, exercising more, the worse it often gets because you're not addressing the root cause. You're trying to fight a locked system with willpower. Until you lower insulin and restore sensitivity, the fat burning door stays closed. When insulin levels finally start to come down through fewer eating windows, reduced carbs, and better food timing, something amazing happens. Your fat cells begin to unlock. The stored energy that's been trapped for years starts to flow out and get used as fuel. Your blood sugar stabilizes, your energy evens out, and those intense cravings fade. You stop thinking about food all the time because your body has learned to use what it already has. This is why true fat loss isn't about starving or forcing yourself to eat less. It's about creating the hormonal environment that allows your body to burn fat naturally. Once insulin becomes balanced again, your metabolism remembers how to switch between storing and burning. The exhaustion lifts, the brain fog clears, and weight loss finally feels effortless. What once felt like a battle with willpower becomes a partnership with your biology. And that's when lasting transformation begins. Two people can eat the same clean foods, grilled chicken, vegetables, avocado, and even the same calories. Yet one will lose weight easily while the other struggles endlessly. The difference isn't what they eat, but how often they eat. The timing between meals, not the total food intake, determines whether insulin gets to rest or stays constantly elevated. And if insulin never rests, fat burning never begins. Imagine two people who both start their day with the goal of eating healthy. The first person, let's call her Sarah, believes in the traditional advice: eat small, balanced meals every few hours to keep the metabolism active. She starts her morning at 7 a.m. with a protein smoothie and fruit, a wholesome, energizing breakfast. By 10 a.m., she feels a bit hungry, so she grabs a handful of almonds to tide her over. Lunch at noon is a salad with chicken, olive oil, and some quinoa. Around 3 p.m., her energy dips again, so she reaches for a protein bar. Dinner at 6 p.m. is lean fish, vegetables, and sweet potatoes. Later that evening, she has herbal tea with a small piece of dark chocolate because she deserves something small. Now, let's look at Mark. He eats just as healthy, but differently. He skips breakfast, having only black coffee or tea. His first meal is around noon, grilled chicken, avocado, and spinach with olive oil. He doesn't snack between meals, giving his body a solid break until dinner at 6 p.m. when he eats salmon, asparagus, and a side of cauliflower mash. After that, nothing else until the next day. On paper, Sarah and Mark have eaten almost the same foods, even similar calories. But their results couldn't be more different. Sarah's insulin has been up all day, responding to every bite and snack. Even her handful of nuts and her healthy protein bar caused small insulin spikes that kept her body in storage mode. Insulin never had the chance to fall low enough for fat burning to start. Her energy fluctuated, she felt hungry between meals, and by bedtime, she was more tired than satisfied. Mark's body, on the other hand, got long stretches of time without insulin activity. When he skipped breakfast and waited until noon to eat, insulin stayed low for hours, signaling his body to pull energy from fat stores. By the time he ate, his body was ready to use food efficiently. Between lunch and dinner, his insulin dropped again, keeping fat burning active throughout the afternoon. Even when he went to bed, insulin remained low, allowing his metabolism to continue using stored fat overnight. This is what insulin rest periods are all about. Just like your muscles need rest between workouts to grow stronger, your insulin needs downtime between meals to reset. Without that rest, insulin stays stuck in the on position and your fat cells stay locked. You can eat the cleanest foods in the world, but if you're eating too frequently, you never give your body permission to switch from storage to burning. Meal timing matters more than meal size because fat loss depends on hormonal rhythm, not just calorie counting. When insulin drops, growth hormone rises, and your body becomes more efficient at repairing, regenerating, and using stored energy. Those hours between meals are when the real metabolic magic happens. Not while you're eating, but while you're not. This is why many people notice dramatic results when they begin spacing their meals or practicing intermittent fasting. It's not because they're starving themselves, it's because they're creating insulin rest periods long enough for fat burning to take over. The cravings fade, energy stabilizes, and hunger becomes manageable because their body finally has access to its built-in fuel supply. The key is to let insulin fall low enough, long enough. That doesn't mean extreme fasting or skipping entire food groups. It simply means giving your body time to process what you've already eaten before you eat again. When insulin rests, your metabolism wakes up. When insulin stays active, fat storage continues, no matter how healthy your food choices are. Once you experience what it feels like to go several hours without crashing, you realize your body was never broken. It was just overstimulated, and over-signaled. By respecting the natural rhythm of eating and fasting, you give insulin the quiet time it needs to unlock your energy again. And when that happens, fat loss stops feeling like a fight. It becomes the natural byproduct of balance restored. Most people trying to lose weight are unaware of how often they trigger insulin throughout the day. The problem usually hides in the small, everyday habits, the healthy breakfast choices, the mid-morning snacks, or the drinks that seem innocent but quietly keep insulin elevated. Fixing this mistake starts with awareness. When you can spot your insulin triggers, you can finally make small, strategic changes that allow your body to burn fat instead of constantly storing it. Start with breakfast. It's the meal that sets your insulin rhythm for the rest of the day. If you begin your morning with cereal, oatmeal, toast, fruit, or even smoothies, you're spiking insulin right from the start. These foods may seem healthy, but they're all carb-heavy. Even whole grains and fruit smoothies send blood sugar up quickly, forcing insulin to rise to bring it back down. The fix is simple. Start your first meal with protein and healthy fat. Think eggs with avocado, a protein-rich shake with no added sugar, or a handful of nuts alongside plain Greek yogurt. Protein and fat don't spike insulin like carbs do. They stabilize it. That's how you keep hunger away for hours and give your body a chance to burn stored fat between meals. Next, look at how often you eat. Many people still follow the old advice to eat small meals every 2 to 3 hours. But every snack, no matter how small, signals insulin to rise again. That handful of nuts, protein bar, or even coffee with creamer counts as a meal in hormonal terms. Instead of grazing all day, start building longer gaps between meals, what Dr. Boz calls insulin rest periods. A simple goal is to have at least 4 to 5 hours between meals, no snacks in between, and a 12 to 16-hour overnight fast. That might look like eating lunch at noon, dinner at 6, and skipping breakfast the next morning. If that sounds hard at first, remember your body adapts quickly when insulin finally drops. Within a week or two, you'll notice fewer cravings and steadier energy. It's not about willpower, it's about chemistry shifting in your favor. Now, let's talk about hidden carbs. These are the sneaky ingredients that raise insulin even when you think you're eating clean. Watch out for dressings, sauces, flavored yogurts, protein bars, keto snacks, and nut milks with added sugar. Even condiments like ketchup or balsamic glaze can have more sugar than dessert. The easiest way to fix this is to read labels and stick to whole foods, foods that don't come in packages. When in doubt, ask yourself, would my great-grandparents recognize this as food? If not, it probably contains something that will raise insulin. Hydration is another overlooked trigger. Many people unknowingly drink their way into high insulin with juices, diet sodas, flavored coffees, or even zero sugar drinks that still cause insulin responses through sweet taste receptors. The fix here is simple: stick with no calorie, no flavor hydration most of the time. Water, sparkling water, mineral water, or unsweetened tea. Black coffee is fine too, as long as you're not adding sugar or milk that breaks your fast. When it comes to meals, a good rule of thumb is protein first. Protein helps you feel full, supports muscle repair, and has a minimal impact on insulin. Add clean fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts, and fatty fish. These slow digestion and keep blood sugar steady. Fill the rest of your plate with non-starchy vegetables like spinach, broccoli, or cauliflower. Avoid pairing heavy carbs with fats in the same meal. That's a double signal for storage. If you want carbs, have them in small amounts after protein, ideally with plenty of fiber to slow absorption. Here's an easy example of what this looks like in real life. Instead of oatmeal with fruit for breakfast, try 2 eggs with sauteed spinach and avocado. Swap that afternoon protein bar for herbal tea or sparkling water. Instead of brown rice at dinner, choose cauliflower rice and extra veggies. And if you're used to snacking at night, close your eating window after dinner. Drink tea or water instead. You'll sleep better, wake up with steadier energy, and notice that your hunger in the morning starts to fade naturally. When you build your meals this way and space them apart, insulin finally gets to rest. That rest is what opens the door to fat burning. The change isn't about eating perfectly, it's about giving your body the hormonal balance it needs to work properly again. Once you experience how calm and steady your energy feels when insulin stays low, you'll never want to go back to constant snacking. The freedom comes not from eating less food, but from eating in a way that finally lets your metabolism breathe. When insulin finally drops, something remarkable happens. Your body starts doing what it was designed to do all along: burn fat for fuel. This is the moment everything starts to click. The energy that's been locked inside your fat cells begins to flow freely again. Instead of relying on constant food intake for energy, your body begins to run on its own stored fuel. You stop chasing energy through snacks and caffeine because you've unlocked a steady, powerful source that never runs out. At first, the change feels subtle. You notice that the hunger that used to hit mid-morning doesn't come as often. The afternoon crash that used to leave you desperate for a pick-me-up simply fades. You feel a calm energy, not the jittery kind from sugar or coffee, but a clean, steady rhythm that lasts all day. Your brain feels clearer because your blood sugar is stable, and the fog that used to hang over your thinking starts to lift. You wake up without dreading the day, and for the first time in years, your energy matches your intentions. This is the power of metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between burning glucose and burning fat with ease. When insulin is high, your body can't make that switch. It's stuck burning sugar and storing fat. But once insulin levels drop and stay stable, your body becomes metabolically efficient. It no longer needs to scream for quick fuel because it's accessing the long-lasting energy you've been carrying all along. Fat burning becomes effortless. You don't have to force it. Your biology does it naturally. Cravings start to disappear because your blood sugar is no longer spiking and crashing. When insulin is balanced, your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin, finally communicate properly again. You eat when you're truly hungry and stop when you're satisfied. Not because you're trying to follow a rule, but because your body actually feels full. Food becomes fuel again, not an emotional comfort or a constant thought. Your mental focus sharpens as your brain starts using ketones. A clean, stable energy source produced when your body burns fat. You notice you can go longer without eating and still think clearly. Many people describe this as a sense of lightness, both physically and mentally. Your mood steadies because your energy no longer depends on what you ate 2 hours ago. You start to feel in control again, not at the mercy of hunger or fatigue. As days turn into weeks, the physical changes become visible. The stubborn belly fat that refused to budge starts to melt away. You see definition in places that used to feel soft or bloated. Clothes fit differently, but more importantly, you feel different, lighter, calmer, more confident. Your skin often clears up, your sleep deepens, and inflammation decreases because stable insulin allows every system in your body to work more efficiently. The best part is that it doesn't feel like a diet anymore. You're not counting calories or obsessing over meal plans. You're simply living in rhythm with how your body was built to function. When insulin gets the space to rise and fall naturally, fat storage and fat burning fall back into balance. You're no longer forcing results. You're allowing them. This is why people who lower insulin and create those rest periods often say they feel younger, stronger, and more alive. The transformation isn't just physical, it's deeply emotional. You stop feeling broken. You stop blaming yourself for the years of failed diets and exhaustion. You realize it was never a lack of willpower. It was your body trying to protect you from a system that was never given a break. Once insulin calms down, your body stops fighting against you. It becomes your partner in health, working with you, instead of resisting every effort you make. That's the moment true freedom begins, when you're no longer trapped in cycles of hunger, guilt, and fatigue. You can finally trust your body again. You eat with confidence, fast without fear, and move through the day with energy that feels natural. Once you break the insulin cycle, you don't have to keep chasing weight loss. Your body will take care of it because it's finally functioning the way it was always meant to. When insulin rests, fat burns, energy flows, and life feels effortless again. Not because you're dieting, but because you've mastered your metabolism.